Chester, what's good? Y'all straight? Y'all, no cap. Y'all good? All right. We have an amazing speaker for you today. We have amazing questions, but I really want to see if you got the energy today, like y'all ready to get into it. Because when I tell you that this special guest is phenomenal, no cap, phenomenal. You've been capping all day. I can already tell you've been capping all day. So let me see if y'all guys are really into it and can really do this. Who knows what the chant for the Philadelphia Union is? Dope, dope, dope. Y'all remember the dope sound? So I want to see how loud you can make a dope sound. We're going to see on this side or that side. Let's see over here. Let me get 1, 2, 3, dope. Oh, y'all a little weak over here. Let me see about over here. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, did you hear that over there? They are ready. Let's see over here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, all right, but I think over here is ready. 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go. Go dope, 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 dope. Let me now introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rich Kleiman. Rich Kleiman, come on. Sorry, Rich, this is your seat right here. Thank you, good sir. Appreciate you. We also have 2 students that's going to be helping us out with our questions today. We have Megan and we have Dylan. Give a hand for Megan and Dylan today. So I know you guys are excited. Our affirmation word today, like when you hear something you really like, or it's like the truth, or like you really appreciate it, we're gonna say no cap today. Can you guys say it? 1, 2, 3, no cap? No cap. All right, I like this. So let me give you guys the introduction. Rich is Kevin Durant's longtime manager and co-founder of the 35 Ventures and the Boardroom. If you haven't checked out the boardroom.tv yet, pull out your phone, sign up, bookmark it, it's the truth. Founded in 2016, the 35 Venture incorporates the duo's existing business entities into a media network, Boardroom, that sits at the intersection of sports, entertainment, business, and culture. Kevin Durant's personal brand marketing portfolio, and on-court contracts, and an investment portfolio that includes an ownership stake in the Philadelphia Union. Can we get no cap for that one? No cap. Nice. Rich serves as the executive director of the Durant Family Foundation, helping underserved and low-income families and youth across the globe. He also sits on the board of directors at New Heights Youth, Inc., a nonprofit dedicated to sports-based youth development and education in New York City. Please give another hand for Rich for being here today. Rich, I think you exemplify everything that we try to stress here with the iAM project. You represent resiliency, you represent hustle, you represent the grind, you represent excellence, a lot of the skills and traits that these young scholars are trying to get right now. Question for you, way back when you were in high school, what were the things that influenced you and excited you about you being a young person coming up in the city of New York?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, and thank you guys for coming out. I said before, I was talking backstage, I said I would have loved this as a kid, but then I quickly corrected myself and said I may have been asleep in the back as a kid, to be honest, no cap. But as a kid, the things that inspired me were, to be honest, it was the city. It was the energy around New York City. It was sports. It was hip hop, which was really exploding in New York at the time. And then it was dreaming. You know, like everyone that knew me knew that didn't matter like what it was, but every season I walked around and told people what I was gonna be when I grew up. Not just when I was a little kid, I owned that and I walked around with that. I still do it till to this day. And that's the kind of stuff that motivated me. It's what got me up every day, was believing in what I said out loud that I wanted to do and visualizing it.
Where did you get that entrepreneurial DNA? Like, where did that come from?
To be honest, like, I don't know where it came from. I know that as a kid, I was in awe of the hot dog stand vendor. I was in awe of the dude who ran the bodega on the corner. I thought anybody that got up, went to work, and made money. When I used to see the hot dog guy take that like wad of cash out of his pocket, I thought he made it. And the idea of building something, creating something, and then finding someone else that wants it, I just thought was incredible. And it didn't matter what it was, I was enamored by it. Obviously, sports and hip hop were kind of like my North Stars as a kid. Those are the things that I wanted to do. Those were the superheroes that I looked up to growing up in the city. But it was really just the spirit of working and hustling that I always gravitated towards.
That's dope. I can tell you that me and you have some similar backgrounds. You know, we both went to college. College didn't quite work out for us. But we found this niche that we can run in. For me, it was actually the military where I gained this discipline. But I know you've talked about in the past about transitioning from college into kind of these hustle environments. And just to be clear, you know, Rich came from college and then into managing in the music industry, some time with Rock Nation and the crazy things you did there with them. And then moving and progressing from music into the sports medium and everything that you're doing now, you've been on like this trajectory that's been like phenomenal. But let's take it back to those college days. Like, how was that for you? And then how did you progress from making that decision that college wasn't a thing for you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as much of a concerted effort to say that college wasn't for me. I think, you know, a lot of young people grow up with a bit of chaos sometimes around their life. And for me, it was like, let me just get out of this chaos and get to college. And when I got there, I really wasn't equipped to be there though. So I had the muscle to get out of New York and get to school, but I really didn't have the stamina mentally or physically to be in college. What I had always though was that mentality of wanting more and dreaming, but the skill set that's needed to show up every day, go to school, finish your work, that's one of the most important skill sets in every walk of life. At the time, I didn't fully realize it. So a lot of times, people will say to me, or I'll hear one of my peers tell young people that, you know, you can leave right away and start your journey. And I don't subscribe to that. I do think that obviously for some people, if there's a way to start your career early, you see it with athletes a lot, you see it with a lot of these big tech entrepreneurs. But the skill set that's earned, the discipline of showing up every day, no matter what you want to be in life, is paramount. And I didn't have that yet. And that was really it, because I wanted to be in school, I wanted to be successful. But the idea, the hardest thing, to wake up, that moment when your snooze alarm is going and you're willing to give everything up for 15 more minutes of sleep. I didn't have the ability to do that yet. And for me, you know, one of my biggest regrets is, wow, what could I have done if I actually had that skill set plus the entrepreneurial spirit, you know, that I was born with. So when I went back to New York, it was disappointing for me for a second that in some ways I had failed school. But really what I realized and what I took with me everywhere else in life was just, you know, it's cliche, but as soon as the door closes, I get energized, period. I can't look at it any other way. When the door is shut, you have like two choices. You can try to open the door, but usually it's shut for a reason. Or you can just get this new sense of adrenaline and figure out like what that means, right? What does it mean that the door's shut? Where are you supposed to look now? And for me, that's when everything started to make sense. I turned that failure of being like, how could I go to school? How could I have a father that saved up the money to send me to college and me blow it, like, and not go? And instead of beating myself up, I just said, well, I'm gonna make something out of this. You know, I'll make him proud, I'll make myself proud, and I'll quickly move on from the fact that I just didn't have it yet in college.
That's dope. I like to say it this way, you know, you kind of use your setback for your come up. Yeah. So that you know, I remember that disappointment of dropping out of college too, and going back and calling up my mom, you're like, Mama, I dropped out one more again. I dropped out more times than you. But then being how proud she was when she saw the accomplishments I made later. You know, sometimes I've heard you in a couple of interviews, you talk kind of about this North Star or finding this far off goal that you're gonna reach and then building yourself up to reach that goal. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe some people that help inspire you to have that concept or that idea of aspiring to that North Star and fighting for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the North Star for me is just like hope and opportunity. You know, I think one of the most demoralizing things is when you feel like you just don't have a chance. If you feel like there's a ceiling and you can't break through it, or you feel like there's just no way to have an opportunity. And sometimes you have to create that in your own mind. You have to create an inventory of what you have in your life. You know, you think you have nothing, but then you can look back and go, well, hold up, I'm healthy, I got a ton of friends, I got family in my life, I'm getting an education, and it's not what that person has or what that person has, but this is my inventory. This is what I have right now. And I do that, and I get proud of what I have. And then all of a sudden I point to something that I want, and I don't know if I'll get there. But I know that life is short, and if I waste time trying to figure out why I don't have what I don't have, or why a certain door closed, that nothing's gonna work for me. But we all have a tendency to do it. I find myself doing it, but then I quickly look to that North Star. And that same thing that I did as a kid, where if I walked in a room and you said hello to me, I'd say, I'm gonna be a lawyer when I grow up. And they'd be like, I just said hello. Like, why are you telling me this? Because that's what got me excited and motivated every day, you know? And I think that was really, the genesis of, like, even as I look at my business, when I tell people in my office, like, this is what I want to build Boardroom into, because I want them to feel that. I want everybody to feel like there's a North Star, because if you don't know what you're working towards, or you think that someone's gonna stop your progress, or that you're just on a hamster wheel, you can go crazy thinking that way.
Yo, that's no cap, real talk, right? Yo, anybody in here who has like a North Star, a goal, or a vision that they're trying to get to? Anybody? All right, see, let me ask real quick, what's yours? Yeah. Want to be a lawyer? Give me somebody else. A tattoo artist, that's dope. Give me one more person all the way in the back with your hand up in the purple. Oh, she stopped. All right, right here. He wants to be an NBA player. So look, we just heard like 3 people tell us what their North Star is. But if you guys listen to Rich, he talked a little bit about this ceiling, right? Like how far you can go. I can tell you that Rich has broken through many of ceilings for him to reach to what it is. And maybe even this one, and maybe we might want to talk about this, like there might have been some people who said like, yo, you can't do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think a lot of times you hear stories about people that are successful or athletes that, will talk about who their mentor was. And you want that. We all want that in some way, but it's not always like it seems on television. I never had somebody that just put their arm around me and was like, Rich, I got you. Let me show you the way. It just never happened. But I took moments from people along the way, whether it was a negative that I turned into a positive, or it was somebody that just gave me a little sliver of light. And that's really all you can ask. Like if you wait your whole life for, that famous tattoo artist to be like, yo, I'm gonna make you the next tattoo artist that's gonna go right by. But if you see a little crack in the door, and that could be you go into a bookstore and there's a magazine on tattoos, or you're on YouTube and you see a video that from somebody in Asia that is the most renowned tattoo artist, now all of a sudden you have a little crack in the door. And when we were growing up, you didn't have that much access. True. So you had to really search for it, but so much of it is at your disposal. And part of creating that North Star and having that dream is like putting all that around you and putting all that excitement around you. So if you want to be a lawyer when you grow up, like you don't have to wait to go to law school. You have to wait to go to law school and take your bar to actually practice as a lawyer, but you can be a lawyer right now, and that you can really be online and reading about it. You can tell all your friends, you just told all your friends. Now everybody in here, whether they want to take it seriously or not, know that you want to be a lawyer when you grow up, and that's the first step. So for me, that's really how I owned everything, and some of the stuff I talked into fruition, and some of the stuff, the door closed. And then when you asked me the next day what I wanted to be, I'd be like, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. Door closed, but it's fine because I figured out that I would just keep moving forward.
Right. And I think, again, some of your background and reading some of the stuff that you had is that you realized that you didn't necessarily need all that, right? Like when other people were like, oh, you need to be a lawyer to be in A&R and to be in music or to do contracts, or you need to go through this profession or have this much of an internship. You kind of like broke the mold and was like, no, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because that's like an awakening that I try to remind myself of all the time, not just back then with music, which is that when you're talking to somebody or you're in a situation, a lot of times your lack of confidence or your lack of kind of feeling of self is you just assume that the other person knows more. Or you just assume that what you say isn't going to be right or going to be taken right. And when you can just like break through that a bit and realize, like, you know what, maybe they're thinking the same exact thing, or maybe they don't know, or maybe I know more than I really think I know, or I can ask one question, unlock the answer, and I'm gonna know it's from now on. And for me, that's what I did. Someone gave me an opportunity in the music industry. I loved it. It felt as close to the energy of the sports world for me, and it felt like those were the people that I was starting to look up to. These like young entrepreneurs when we were younger were these leaders in hip hop. So in order to be in the music industry, I wasn't going to get I had an opportunity in front of me. I wasn't going back to college. I wasn't gonna go read a textbook. I just asked questions and learn on the fly. And it's powerful when you do it. It's really powerful when you ask those questions because it can be addictive because you realize that like all of that feeling of confusion and all of that feeling of doubt is really solved in asking questions and owning it and not being afraid to ask that question. And when you ask the question, you ask it with your chest out and smiling because you're not doubting yourself. You're doing it to learn. You're doing it because you're getting stronger. That's no different than going to the gym and lifting weights. You're asking questions to get information to get stronger and to know more, period. And then when you walk in that room next time, you're walking in with more confidence. And confidence is everything. Doubt is crippling and confidence is everything. And you got to give yourself your own confidence when you don't have somebody to put their arm around you all the time. Or if other people don't care, because you got to understand that everyone has their own doubt and their own things that they're figuring out. So when you're able to fulfill yourself with that confidence and you realize that asking questions and getting the information will keep feeding that confidence, it can be intoxicating.
That's dope, man.
Thank you, bro.
I think it's interesting because I think a lot of you scholars can take that information back to your schools. Just imagine if you had that desire to be a learner the same way that Rich was talking about being a learner, that you do that same thing in your school environment where you decide that you're going to ask all the questions of your teachers so you can get all the information that you need, that you're going to ask your classmate, like, yo, how did you get an A on that exam when I got like a C, yo, like I need to study with you. Like if you start to take some of those skills and resources and apply it to your life right now, I think that's one of the things you were saying before, like I wish I had the dedication, discipline, and that desire to learn when I was in high school.
Well, that's the thing, is
right?
Like, the beauty of school, if you can flip it on its head and look at it this way, is that, that's that time in life where you don't even necessarily have to ask all the questions because the information is being given to you. You just got to show up. You got to show up and you got to commit whatever you can commit of yourself, because everybody in here can't learn at the same level and isn't realistically going to commit to learning at the same level. But you got to commit enough of yourself to take that information in because it's free. For the most part, this information is free. And then when you get later in life, you're going to have some of that ammunition that you equipped yourself with, and then you unlock it by continuing to ask those questions, continuing to get that information that unfortunately isn't free when you get older.
Crazy. So, question for you. I want to go a little bit back to your time in the music industry, and even today. Has there ever been a time that you like a celebrity or a superstar came up and you were like starstruck, and you but still had to be like authentically you at the same time?
Yeah, not really, to be honest. I guess Jay-Z would be the closest, only because, when I met him, it was in 2001, and I was working on the beginning of producing his first theatrical documentary to his film Fade to Black. And I really wanted to be in sports. I wanted to play in the NBA until I realized I couldn't. But the energy around the NBA and the energy around sports was really what I looked up to. And then I met him, and I was like, oh my God, this man is so flawlessly cool. He can carry a room. He walks like a ball player, but it's a different level of taste and sophistication. Wow. And I wasn't starstruck, but I knew I wanted to be around it, which is why that was the only time that I kind of halted what I thought was my entrepreneurial journey to go work for him, which really was part of my entrepreneurial journey, but it wasn't in what I had envisioned, but it was too much. It was too good. It was overwhelming how much I thought I was going to get from that situation. And it's part of my plan, which is not necessarily pre-written, but I evolved my plan second by second. So when I met Jay-Z, it was instantly I said, all right, well, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing now. I have to figure out what I'm going to get from this experience. And at the time, it could have been forever. In hindsight, it was never going to be forever. That was always going to be an era. But, I think that's ultimately the most kind of taken back that I've ever been, because I try to pride myself on staying calm and seeing things in slow motion. You know, when I was growing up, they used to always say that Michael Jordan saw the game in slow motion, and it made no sense as a kid. But as I've gotten older, I realize it. Like, in general, when your mind is racing and you're nervous and anxious, you know, you're saying things and doing things that you're not fully in control of. But when you try to slow yourself down and try to see things that way and take your time when you're speaking and not realize you have to speak a million miles per hour and you're so much more in control of things, well, then you can be so much more accomplished. So for me, it was always like, all right, I know in my head I'm bugging out of the room I'm in. I can't believe that I'm in this room with these people. But let me not act like that, because I don't know when I'm ever going to be in this room again.
Bro, it's interesting because, you know, you grew up in New York City. I grew up in Philly. Everyone here grew up in the Chester area, and we all kind of grew up with that hustle. You know what I mean? Like that hustle spirit. Like, I can turn a dollar into 10 in some type of way, hopefully in a legal way. But we had that hustler spirit. So can you kind of describe how you've used that hustler spirit in your entrepreneurial journey? But even like in this last one, with you being with a company, you still had to use your hustle to like get to that next level, right?
That's all I've used, to be honest. Like, I think for me, it's just, I don't stop. Like, not that I don't stop working, because I have a great balance and I have 2 daughters that I want to be really committed and dedicated to, and I've been married a long time, so my family is everything. But what I can get from my family is like motivation, and what I was told as a kid was that you had to work 24/7. You know, in the music industry, you would leave the office and someone would be looking at you like you were crazy. You know, like if you left early, that you weren't about it. But the truth is what we've learned as we've gotten older is that balance is important, but your mind can keep going. So physically, you don't want to get up and do it every day. When you live in the Northeast especially, it's cold. It's cold and it's tough, and there's days where it's dark and it's miserable, to be honest. But what you can do in here is you can keep seeing that North Star. So you can feel it. You can go in your house and you can take a day to yourself and you can be a homebody and you can chill with your family. But as long as you know in here that you're going and that you're still dreaming and you're still visualizing where you're going to be, then you're still working and you're still going there. Because the truth is, you can't go 365 days of the year. You know what I'm saying? You can't. That's why there are people sleeping in here now, because they're tired. And I get it. But the truth is that all of these type of opportunities and these moments are the times where you just want to keep visualizing that and not beat yourself up if you feel like, damn, she's working 7 days a week, or he already got a job here. But as long as you continue to visualize it and you're taking your steps and you know that that arrow is pointing forward every day, then you're doing something right.
That's dope, man. I think it's really important. It's something important for you guys. Mindfulness, wellness, finding that balance in what you do. So we have a couple of questions from some of our Newman students here. So let's start with Dylan. Go for it.
How's everyone doing today? Rich, I have a question. You know, you're famed for your curiosity and hustle. Has there ever been a time where your confidence kind of faltered and, you know, you had a setback?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it could happen daily, but it happens for a second. And I'm conditioned like that. So I almost am cognizant of when my confidence is knocked down for a second, and then I start getting motivated by the fact that I have to bounce back. You know, and it's like if you watch sports, you always realize like why we root for the underdog, or why when somebody's down at the half and they start making a comeback, why fans get into it. Well, I kind of create that energy for myself. You know, if someone says no to me, or somebody passes on something that I want to work with, especially because of how much pride I take in what I do take it personally for a quick second, and I do have my confidence shattered for a quick second, but a quick second, and that's it. And for me, it's like if I do it any other way, again, I know what comes with that. I know from experience, I know from friends of mine that don't have that bounce back. I've seen friends of mine whose confidence have got shattered and continue to get shattered, you know, and then you see they walk different, their heads down, and I don't want that. So for me, it's like nobody is going to call me on the phone when my confidence is down and say, hey, yo, Rich, you're the man. I want you to know, I hope your confidence is boosted because you're the man. Never, nobody, not my wife, not my mom, nobody. I only have to do that. So as soon as my confidence is shattered for 1 second, I'm instantly visualizing the bounce back. And I'm creating that narrative in my head. And it's not easy, but it's built into how I operate.
And after that second, would you say that you want to work harder and, you know, achieve more?
I definitely want to achieve more. I mean, I think, you know, I'm 45 years old, but I can visualize like being all of your guys' age like it was yesterday. I can remember conversations that I had with my friends yesterday. My kids go to the same high school that I went to, and I walk down the hallways and I'm like, I remember conversations from right here. So I still feel young, and I want that energy to stay inside, because what comes with that is never feeling like I've accomplished much. You know, like I'm proud of what I've done, but I'm constantly visualizing that next step and that next North Star. And I want to be like that forever. A friend of mine's father just ran the marathon, or walked it, at 88 years old. This past summer, he was at 4 different music festivals, and when you talk to him, he'll tell you he's going to live to 114 and then he's done. Not like anything could keep him from living longer if he wanted, but he's done at 114. And he will get there because of the way he communicates it. And to me, like, that mind over matter seems, again, like cliche. You don't want to believe it, because the innovation in our world is so crazy that you feel like an app may be really easier to solve something, but your mind is really what can do it. And for me, I just keep telling myself that I have more to achieve and keep aspiring and dreaming for more, because when you can't dream, and that's the only problem with a little bit of what social media I think has done to kids and desensitized a bit, is like there is not as much of a wow factor for young people, and you have to force yourself to dream more now. And you know, I think it's imperative to keep dreaming and putting that in front of you.
That's dope. Our next question is going to come from Megan.
You recently won an Academy Award for your short film, Two Distant Strangers. It's on Netflix, guys. It's a really interesting short film. Through that process, what did you learn from it? What did you gain from it?
Yeah, well, it's funny, because that actually is an example of something, you know, that relates to what I was saying about when you want to assume that somebody else knows more than you in a conversation, or that somebody else would have done it if it was supposed to be done, so why am I going to do it? It was in the middle of the pandemic, and someone sent me the script in May of 2020, and obviously it was a really tumultuous time in our entire society, even outside of the pandemic, that I was reading it and I said, of course, like instantly, I was like, of course, this has to be made. I actually felt like it could have been a feature-length film. And then instantly I was like, but I don't get it. Like why us? Like, this is too good to be true. This script seems incredible. They want us first. I wonder who passed. And then right away I had to remind myself, like, nah, that's not how we're gonna go into things anymore, you know? So I said to myself, I believe in this script wholeheartedly, and we put the money in to fund it right away. From then on, it was crazy to me to see the people that proceeded to get involved with the film, and then the film went on to win an Oscar. And you know what? The rewarding part of the process for me was obviously the body of work, the film that we put out. But that moment that I can remember vividly, I know exactly what I was doing when I got the call. I know exactly what I was doing when I read the script. And I know the exact moment that I could have went the other way, that I could have said, you know what, nah, like, let me know if you raise the money, or I don't think this is right for us. We don't do this. We're never the first money into a film, but I knew it was right, and I went with it. And we don't make films, you know what I'm saying? It's not even our core business. We do 1 or 2 of these a year. So to do this, it was a real leap in some ways, and it was clearly the right one. And it ended up being as rewarding as anything we worked on.
That's dope. We do have a little bit of time for audience questions, so I hope you guys are ready. So we'll start. I think we have a couple microphones around. Who has our first question? Oh, first question.
Are there times you ever feel like you wanted to give up? And if so, what did you do to like overcome those times?
Oh, dope. Good
Yeah, give up on what I was focused on at that moment. Like, I've never wanted to give up, or I thought like I wasn't built for it. But, you know, I think for me it was really like embracing that feeling and understanding why I felt that way, and being okay to verbalize that and tell people around me, like, I'm off of this, like, I'm done, like, I can't do this. And not even because I wanted them to tell me I could. I don't need the positive reinforcement. but I needed to vocalize it and get it out in the atmosphere, because then all of a sudden it's over, and then I pick back up and I go after it. But for sure, all the time. Like, and anyone that doesn't feel like that is, or says that is capping, because the truth is, there's not a successful person in the world that doesn't doubt themselves on a daily basis, but it's the ability to quickly pivot and overcome that and move on that, you know, separates the greatness.
Dope, dope. We have a second question?
What aspect of who you are has contributed most to your success?
I think empathy.
Oh, yo.
Empathy, because I'm really conscious of people around me and how they feel. I'm conscious of my impact on people, good and bad, and you know, I think that level of awareness and empathy is important as you move in life. You know, maybe some people are immune to it. You could be the biggest pop star in the world, and maybe you can lack empathy, and because of your skill, you can still succeed in life. But I've never met anybody that's truly great, and great meaning at home with their family, great in their profession without having empathy. And that's probably the thing I'm most proud of too.
Dope. You have another question?
What is the most valuable lesson that you have learned, and how did you learn it?
Most valuable lesson that I learned. I guess the most valuable lesson I probably learned was a little bit of, to answer a question that he asked me, was how important it is to kind of vocalize what you're feeling inside. You know, whenever you keep some of that fear inside and you keep some of that doubt inside, you know, like I've, said throughout, that'll be the biggest roadblock you face. And I think that it was when I finally felt comfortable enough to say to my homies or my family or people I work with, like, I don't get it, or I'm not feeling it, or I don't think I can do this. And being okay saying it, like feeling a sense of confidence in saying that too, because it's not what you say, it's really how you say it. And I think from then on, it really became part of like a ritual for me, that every time that I did feel a setback of some sort, that I wanted people around me to understand how I felt. And I felt like that would be therapeutic in some ways.
One last question for you, good sir. What's next?
What's next?
Yes.
Just keep building, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel like I'm at like the halfway mark of what I'm trying to build in my business. I'm at the halfway mark in what I'm trying to build in my career and my legacy. And, my kids are 13 and 9, so I'm halfway in having them in my house at all times. And I'm really trying to savor every moment and really like just crush every day and not waste time, and not wasting time doesn't mean that I don't sleep in sometimes, or I don't want to just chill in my house and relax all day, but I don't even look at a day like that as a waste. I just don't want to waste any time. I mean, I enjoy life. Like, I enjoy being here. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy being around people. I enjoy trying things and failing. I enjoy learning new things, and I enjoy my relationships. And I think that's the biggest thing that I really took with me everywhere I went, was I didn't leave somewhere without not having 10 new colleagues or 10 new people in my network. And you don't realize how powerful the 350 people in this room are to you. So if you want to be a lawyer one day, there are 15 people in here that may want to be a tattoo artist or be an NBA player that are now in your network. And as a lawyer, there's not going to be anything more powerful than a network of people that you have at your disposal. And there's nothing that I can't call someone for. If I need a tattoo artist, a graphic designer, a lawyer, an NBA player, I could call any one of them on my phone. And that's because everywhere I've went, I've shown empathy, I've connected with people, I've been vocal, I've asked questions, and I've stayed in touch. And staying in touch with the people around you and not trying to be too cool sometimes, and realizing that everybody in here has got their own thing they're going through, but they all bring something to the table. So being able to keep that network close to you is powerful. It becomes so powerful when you go on later in life.
It's dope. Well, Rich, I think you exemplify everything that iAM is about. You are inspiring, you are an aspiration for us to reach goals to, and you exemplify mentorship in everything that you do. So everybody, do me a favor, give a hand for Rich.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the goal for you guys is very simple. Take this information, be like a sponge. Take it, apply it to your lives, and I guarantee you, myself and Rich, we can't wait to see the heights that you guys soar to. Thank you guys so much and appreciate you. Good brother, appreciate you, family.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it, yeah, that was awesome, that was dope, that was dope.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Rich. Thank
Good job, Megan, wonderful job, that's good job. Let's say, see y'all. Huh? Oh wait, you capping now, you capping, I see it already. We got one capper right here.